Thank you so much for joining me for Barre. This is a setup that you'll need. Let me not block my chair. So here's the chair and here's the yoga mats. You can pick music that you'd like to play at your house to accompany Barre, but I will not be playing music for this class. In terms of movement we'll be doing, feel free to modify any of the movements and take water breaks at any time. We're going to start with lower body, some balance movements. We're thinking about the principles of Pilates, which if you're not familiar with Pilates, you want to keep the abdominals nice and braced, keep the chest lifted, really good posture throughout. And then you want to also keep breathing. All right, we're going to start in first position. This is our turned out position. The toes and knees are both externally rotated, facing the corners of the room. Good. And then we're not going to use our chair for now to start our warm up, which is a nice high reach overhead, getting into that side bend, up, and then over, up, return. You can breathe however it suits you, whatever is comfortable. But if you're not sure, I like to inhale here, exhale here, inhale to lengthen, exhale, return. Inhale to reach high, exhale, feel that stretch. Inhale, exhale. Just keep alternating the breath. It's always going in and out. Waking up our shoulder joint, right? Getting full range of motion in that shoulder. Keeping my heels nice and grounded as I stretch one side. So this is a lateral movement right now. We're not rounding forward. It's just side to side. Good. One more on each side. This always feels good when you just wake up. Me, maybe Anne. All right, so going into a little plie. You can keep your hands down low if you want to activate those deltoids, those shoulder muscles. You can lift the arms so they're just below shoulder height. Sometimes when we get the hands too high, it starts to bring the shoulders up toward the ears. And we're trying to avoid that. So at your own pace, lower and lift. So you can bring a little more awareness to our muscles here. As we bend into the knees, our abs are still braced, our chest is still lifted. It's like our knees are reaching out for the toes, but not shooting past the toes. Those heels stay grounded. But now as you bring it in, think about really pulling the backs of the knees towards each other. Like there's a ball or squishy item in between your knees, and you really want to squish all the air out of it. So you can imagine, as you do that, that you'll actually recruit a little more inner thigh muscles. Squeeze. And then the other thing is squeezing and activating those quads. So quads are engaged anytime you straighten the legs. So if we're squeezing these quad muscles to straighten the leg, that also helps with the tightening and bringing in of the legs. So by thinking a little bit more about that, we can recruit a little bit more muscles. That's kind of what Barre is about too. Barre and Pilates is really just thinking about what muscles we're trying to engage and how we can effectively recruit those muscles. I'm actually going to step a little closer to my chair because we're going to go onto our heels. And maybe you don't need the chair, and that's fine. The heels are going to come apart as you lift. But if you need the chair, you're going to use it by placing a hand gently on it. We don't yank on the chair. If you notice, it doesn't do anything to stay stable on the ground. So it's just there for a little bit of balance. So activating and warming up our calf muscles. We can still keep those thighs nice and tight, which keeps our legs nice and straight and strong. Okay, so let's go into a plie and into the heel lift. And if you want to add a little bit of arm choreography, You can do this with just the outside arm. And you can always keep the arms down at rest. Or hold it in a position that helps you with your balance. If the movement of the arm takes away from the movement of the plie and the heel raise, then feel free to take the arms out of the equation. There's no set height to how high you lift your heels. So you can lift it 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches. Also with the knee bend. You don't want to bend too low. You can go as low as you like. But if your heel lifts off the ground, that is too low. Do 2 more. Good. All right, lifting the outside leg to the corners of the room. I'm lifting my knee, and I'm trying to keep my knee angle pretty big. Basically, I'm not doing a hamstring curl here. Trying to open up those hips. Still keeping my turn out. Yeah, that was about 8. So let's try this with a straight leg. So my hip just pops. That happens. Two more, just moving the outside leg. So we generally want to move the outside leg so we don't kick the chair. So we're going to do 1 knee lift. Don't lower it all the way. Straighten it out. 1 more knee lift and down. So it's actually 3 pulses. Think knee, leg straight, knee, and down. Good. I'm tilting a little bit, but I'm going to try not to tilt there. Knee, straight, knee, and down. And during that straight leg one, you should really feel your quads. Because your quads aren't engaged here as much. They are engaged because of the leg lift. They should really engage there as the leg straight. Lift, lift, lift. 3 pulses. 3, 2, 1. Good. And any height you'd like. And 2 more of those triple pulses. Also really, really working those hip flexors. And last one. Good, I'm going to move my chair to the other side so we can work on the other leg. I never stand in the center of my room. Okay, so first just the knee lifts. Just warm up that hip. So this is my left hip, and it just clicks over and over and over again. We're all asymmetrical, and it only clicks on this side. Good. Try the leg lift with the leg straights. You can point or flex your feet. You can flex your feet if you like. All right, now let's try that triple pulse with the knee bend, leg straight, knee bend, and down. Good. And I just have my hand gently on that chair. Helps with my balance. Oops, knee bend, knee straight. So the reason why you just want a light hand on the chair is because it's not about gripping the chair and using those arm muscles to create tension in your body. And the other reason we want to hold the chair is if we're so busy, trying to stay balanced, it takes away from recruiting the muscles in the legs because our attention is somewhere else. All right, I think this is our last one. Good. Okay, so check out those legs. We're going to start the workout. I mean, that was kind of segueing to the workout, but that was also a little warm up. We're going to be doing some balance moves. So actually, if this leg is tired, actually, it should go. We'll start with this leg. Now, your standing leg, which I didn't really talk too much about, anytime we're doing balance moves, you do want to have a softened knee in the standing leg. You don't want to keep it locked out for a very long time. We're going to swing the leg forward with turnouts. This is different from bringing it to the side. It's actually sweeping straight forward, slightly bent to the knees. It's like my arch of my foot wants to reach up and forward. And then I'm going to keep the knees slightly bent and take it straight back. And it's still slightly bent and turned out. So if you can see the back of my leg, the outer edge of my foot is facing up to the ceiling. Okay, so take your time with this. I'm not moving to the music or any sort of beats. We're basically locking the knee in a position, a slightly bent position. And I don't change my knee angle anymore. I keep it bent the same way the whole time. I'm not straightening it, I'm not bending it more. Now I'm going to keep my abs braced. The leg stays bent, so as I sweep it down, it really, maybe the toes graze the floor, but really the floor shouldn't get in the way. My standing leg is also slightly bent. What I mean by slightly bent is it's just not locked. Okay. And then feel the difference. So as I bring my legs forward, my hip flexors are engaged, my abs are like pulling up, my chest is up. But as I swing my leg back, you should really feel your glutes, a little bit of the outer thighs, and your abs are still tight so that you don't, I'm going to turn sideways here, so you don't accidentally arch into the back, like settle into your back. You really want to keep that neutral spine as much as possible. And that's the main thing about abdominal recruitment. It helps with the lift sometimes when it's in the front, but it helps with neutral spine stability when your legs swing to the back. It's okay if there's a slight tilt forward. Again, let me show you here. I'm not going to kick my chair out. Slight tilt here, but I'm still trying to keep as neutral as possible. Your standing legs are probably also be getting a little fatigued right now because it's doing a lot of stabilizing. If you don't feel much in the standing leg, it might mean that you have locked the knee out. And anytime you lock the joint out, you're just settling in the joint and not really recruiting the muscles as much. All right, now that we've got the hang of this movement, it's time to add those pulses. Double pulse, so up, up, swing it back, double pulse back, pulse, pulse. Whatever helps you with your arms, with your balance. Good. And let's try 4 pulses. So when we go to the front, think of 4 lifts. 4, 3, 2, 1. Keeping that turn out. 4 in the back. 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Each time really recruiting those hip flexors. Lift a little higher. You also feel a little inner thigh there in the front. Last one. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Before we switch sides, you want to shake out your legs. We're going to go pull the outside leg still, pull up to the knee, kick it out, drag it down. So we're going to be pointed, pointed, flex, and then return to our first position. So different muscle recruitments, a little bit, still a little hip flexors involved. Hopefully not too tired with the legs. Quads engaged, flex the foot, drag. Good, so again, our standing leg is probably getting pretty fatigued because of how much we're doing with the outside leg. Let's do one more here, and now let's switch sides. All right, set it up, soft knees in the standing leg. So what I usually do is I lock my knee out and then I just kind of let it bend a little bit, like unlock it. Good, turn out, forward, and back. Inner thigh, hip flexors, butts, outer thighs. I don't talk about breathing as much in bar, not the way I do in Pilates. Pilates is really all about the breath, but implying breathing principles here. And exhale here, inhale down, exhale, lift back, inhale. Exhale, recruit those abs, inhale, exhale. Generally, we exhale on exertion, and we also exhale when we want our abdominals to be very, very tight, because our abdominals naturally recruit, right? They draw in when we exhale. All right, well, as soon as we get through the second slide a little faster, because we already are familiar with the exercise. So let's go ahead and add those double pulses. Double pulse, lift, lift to the front, to the back, exhale, exhale. It's not really two full exhales, it's basically like exhale, one exhale broken up into two. Your standing legs still soft. Soften the knees. Sometimes when we stop thinking about the standing leg, it just naturally wants to lock out. Good. Two more, left forward. So let's go into our 4 pulses. 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Really feel it in the glutes there. Arch of the foot goes up. Outer edge, I don't know, I call it the blade of the foot. Outer edge of the foot goes up to the ceiling. Arch. And edge. Last time here. Yeah, shake out those legs if you need a little break. We're back to first position. Gonna drag the toes up to the knees. Squeeze the quadriceps. Flex the foot before you start to drag it down. Good. Drag the toes up. Extend. Feel that flexion. Feel that stretch in the calf. Drag it down. Standing legs still soft. Arms are kind of an afterthought for me here. Focus on the legs. It's okay to lean a little bit. Our goal is to try not to lean. So when I think about not leaning, I lean less. Usually I still lean a little bit. Okay, 3 more. Feel those different muscles, right? First, when you drag it up, it's just the hip flexors. Probably don't feel much in the quads. And then here, you should feel a lot in the quads. Here, the calves get involved. Maybe even the hamstrings, if you have really tight hamstrings. All right, depends on how high your leg is lifted. All right, good. We're going to go into second position. It's a little wider, about shoulder distance apart. We're going to go into again, another plie. And this is just to slowly widen our stance. So we're gonna do a couple here, like 8, and then we're gonna go to an even wider position. You probably don't need your chair for this, but if you do, you're gonna face your chair. All right, so take your feet wide and face your chair like this. I'm going to show you guys the front view. So this was about shoulder distance. I'm going to take it even wider. So now it's like 3 times hip width apart or 3 times shoulders. Good. And we're still turned out, and this is going to be our widest position. Now, if this doesn't feel good for your hips, it's a really great hip opener, groin stretch. But if it feels too wide, then go ahead and bring your feet in just a little bit. So you can always sort of pick your width. The important thing is that the toes and knees are always aligned with each other. All right, my toes and knees have them to face the corners right now. And if they were a little closer, they're still going to face the corners. All right, we're going to add some heel lifts. So go ahead and lift the right heel and continue that full range wide plie. Inhale, exhale. Inhale. Give me 2 more. We're going to put both heels down and we're going to pulse it low for 8. Pulse 8. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Should really burn out these muscles here. And now full range again. Lift the left heel. So we're going to do full range with the heel lifted. Full range is nice because when you strain your legs, your leg muscles get a break. Right? They are under overload or tension when we're in our lowest position in the squats. 2 more here. Notice I can't straighten my leg with the heel lifted all the way. And that's fine. That's intentional. Both heels down, pulse low for 8, 7, 6. We're not standing up. And that's where the overload is. Okay, let's see if we can try this with both heels lifted. You may have to move your feet in a little closer and you may have to face your chair for this one. If you really want to work on your balance, you can turn this full range. Yeah, sometimes it's hard to reach a chair just to the side. That's why, and it makes you lean. That's why if you want to use the chair, face your chair. So the worst that can happen if I lose my balance is I put my heels down, which is why I just attempt it like this. I think that was 8. Kind of lost count there. All right, let's bring the heels back down and let's pulse for 16 and then we're done with this. So extra long pulse. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. We're going to do some lunges. So by the way, this thing is an arabesque variation. So an arabesque is usually we keep our legs straight. So we've done that kind of balance thing. So in terms of lunges, if you face your chair, this is my outside leg. And so the way I view it is, if I turn to my chair, I'm still going to move my outside leg. In this case, it's my front leg. Okay? So we're going to take the front leg, nice long straight back. This is your basic lunge, your normal lunge. Okay? And if this feels most comfortable for you, then you're going to do this. But I am going to be showing some curtsy lunges where the leg crosses behind. So notice I'm going straight along the front edge of my mat, and then I'm taking my foot to the other edge of my mat. Okay, my knees and toes are still aligned with each other, facing forward. Because there's ability of my hips to rotate, what happens is as I move back, the front leg has external rotation of the hip, even though the leg didn't move. It's like I just moved my whole pelvis. And that's your curtsy. All right? So you can opt to do every single lunge straight back and not do the curtsy. Whether or not you need the chair, if you need it, it's right there. If not, then you don't have to touch it. Okay? So we're going to do a full range lunge for 8. Let's set this up. 4 more. 2. And now I lift my leg and I move it to the other spot for that curtsy. Doing 8 here. 4, 3. I'm going to face front now, but you can continue where you are just to show you the difference. So we're going to do 8 again. Basic lunge. You can see both my legs. They're on train tracks, individual tracks, fitness and smart. And now that leg that was back, same leg, opposite side, is going, you can see it crosses behind my other leg. And that's what we're doing. We're not going to do 8 of each one anymore. We're going to do less. All right, I'm going to face my chair again. All right, get me down to 4, but but we're not going to do full range again. So full range is down and all the way up. We're going to actually pull slow for 4. 4, 3, I don't straighten my legs all the way, 2, 1, curtsy for 4, 3, 2, back to regular, 4, 3, 2, curtsy for 4. 2 more sets, basic lunge. Now at any point, if you want to straighten your leg, you do it. 4. Last set. Last set. And if you don't need the chair, you don't push it. Okay, look it up. We're going to go into 2s, 2s, and then 1s. I know you thought we were done, sorry. I just need a break. Here we go. 2 pulses. 2 and 2. 2 and 2. 2 more sets. Both legs should really be feeling that burn. Single for 8, 7, 6, 5. It's not a giant process. It's like maybe a foot distance. 3, maybe 2 feet. Last one. Okay. All right, so if you look at my foot here to here, it's maybe 1 foot to 2 feet of a distance going. All right, so my front leg again. My outside leg. My front leg. Full range. 8, 7. Nice and tall. This is called Barre Fitness. It looks like fitness bar. Good. Curtsy lunge for 8. Full range still. Notice my chest stays up. Spine in neutral. It's a vertical drop. Bending that back knee down to about ankle height. Going back to the basic for 8. 8. I don't always do 8, sometimes I do 7, I do 9. It all works out. And curtsy. If I'm going too fast for you, feel free to slow it down. Hopefully, you don't want to speed through this. And sometimes it's so painful, you just want to get it done very, very quickly, right? Okay, we're pulsing for 4. Staying low. 4, 3, 2, 1. Curtsy. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4 sets. Here's our second set. And we'll take a break after this. We just did all those lunges. And this pulsing, it's a lot. Last set, 4 on each. 4 here and 4 on the curtsy. Good. So we could continue and not take breaks, which by all means, feel free to do so. But if you ever find that your form is starting to go, it's more important that you focus on quality over quantity. So take a little break, reset your legs, and then go for it again. All right, so we're doing doubles. 4 sets. Yeah. So here's the double. That's set 1. Double. Set 2. And then change it to the singles. So it's constant movement. Front leg is really going to feel it. For 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're done with the leg portion. Woo-hoo. That was it. Get rid of my chair. It's going back in my kitchen. I live in a tiny little condo, so that's everything's done in one room. All right, so we're gonna do some upper body. If you have small dumbbells, 1 to 3 pounds, you can use them. No big deal. And these are cans of beans. And I mostly hold them because it's easier to see this than it is to see just my plain hands. But again, you don't really need to hold anything, okay? And if you're not holding anything, I don't want you to clench your fist. You can either have a blade hand or you can have a loose fist. We want to focus on the arms, the shoulders, chest, that sort of stuff. We don't want to just create tension. All right, we're going to be in parallel stance, soft knees, abs tight, chest lifted. I always like to start with the most symmetrical move that I can think of, which is sideways. From front to back, it's symmetrical, moving in one plane, and from right and left, it's symmetrical. The whole principle of building muscle is that you feel sort of fatigue and kind of soreness, that you're reaching some overload point with your muscles, and your muscles adapt and respond to that challenge. So if we're doing this and you don't feel much, then that means the weight of your arms, or whatever weight you're carrying, is probably not enough to challenge your muscles. Okay, your muscles are pretty strong. So how do you change that at home if you don't have any other weight? This is why range of motion matters. So if you notice, a lot of what we did earlier with our legs was pulsing. What we did was we changed the range of motion. So now we're going to pulse here. So bring it up and pulse. So by simply changing the range of motion, finding out where the arms feel the most amount of tension, and then holding it, keeping it under constant tension, that's what creates the challenge. We have to get a little creative at home when we don't have really heavy weights that will just challenge your muscles. So if I had, 10 pounds maybe, or 8 pounds, something a little heavier, I probably wouldn't want to pulse with those. It'd be too much. So this is just based on feel. Like, a lot of times people are very focused on repetition, which, yes, for all fairness, like if you're doing something on one side, you kind of want to have the same on the other side. But in general, I don't even count if I'm moving symmetrically. I just wait until I feel muscle fatigue, and then I try to push through it a little bit more, maybe do an extra 5 more. So I'm starting to really feel fatigue, so I'm just going to do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, okay. Let's do a pull. So that was a lift. This keeps our shoulders, if you notice, instead of raising it up and pulling my shoulder, elbows back and down, or up and back, I should say, I'm tilted forward. So this gives a nice little shoulder strip from the front. You shouldn't feel the same fatigue in this exercise as you did in the side raises, because now we're working our back. So think, pull and shoulder blades squeeze together. If you don't really feel it, you can always sit a little bit lower. Yes, you are working into the glutes, but it's really about stability of the spine, abs nice and tight. And you don't need to face sideways like me. You should face forward so that your head and neck is not strained by looking to the side. But while I'm facing here, I'm going to have you go wider. So my palms are faced in. What I can do is start to orient my elbows so it's out a little more. And now my palms are kind of facing backwards. So this is the wide row, which should feel a little different from the narrow row. If you want, you can go kind of back and forth in between the two just to feel the difference. But the wide row should feel a little more challenging because now you're taking your arms away from the midline of your body. Anything further from the body will be a little more challenging. We're still squeezing those shoulder blades together. Still keeping my spine nice and straight, tilted at about 45 degrees. And now we're going to pulse. All right, so pull those elbows up and then keep hitting the ceiling. It's like you're knocking on the ceiling with your elbows. Your neighbors are being really noisy up there, and you're going to use your elbow to tell them to quiet down. All right, give me 8 more. I'm feeling this all across my upper back, right around my shoulder blade area, which is actually the muscle that is responsible for our posture. So if this muscle is not engaged and it's constantly weak, that means it's always going to be, my arm row is going to win, pull forward. I have nothing that keeps my chest up. right? So that's a really important muscle to engage. So here's our biceps. Now biceps are probably one of the things that are naturally most strong in our body, simply because of what we do in everyday life. So I go grocery shopping and I don't have a car. And so I either carry a basket all around, and every time I'm holding a basket, my biceps are just constantly engaged. And then when I pack my groceries in bags and I carry them home, it's my biceps again. All right, because I'm not carrying my grocery bag like this. Maybe if I was crazy and I really wanted to work my shoulders, yeah, and I'm not carrying my grocery bag like this and walking home, which I would, I guess, if I really wanted to target my lats. But it ends up being my biceps, because I hold my groceries just like this while I'm carrying home, because if I drop it like that, it might drag on the ground. So my biceps naturally get a lot of conditioning in my everyday life. Good. In order to pulse and really work the biceps, we're going to be in the mid-range. I'm just going to show you the side view. Notice my elbows, they're staying right under my shoulders, and my elbow angles increase a little, decrease a little. And that's it. So my elbows don't go forward and back. From here, you can have what we call neutral rotation. And then you can do a little external rotation. So I'm squeezing my elbows into my rib cage and directing my hands out more to the corners, which is an external rotation of the arms. Still doing that pulsing. Soft knees, abs tight, chest lifted. Good. Let's pulse it for 8 more. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're going to go to our hands and knees for triceps. I'm only going to need one of these. So I'm on my hands and knees. My knees are underneath my hips. My wrist is underneath my shoulders. I'm going to take one of my, I'm going to align my elbow next to my spine. Maybe it's a little higher. But once I have it set, I straighten the arms. See, it's like pretty much parallel to the floor. My upper arm stays parallel. Really squeeze the arm, the tricep, to get the arm as straight as you can. This is your full range, 90-degree range of motion. Notice I'm not pulling that can of beam toward my biceps. Good, so every straightening is a contraction of the elbow. Also try not to turn your body, like keep your shoulders square to the floor. So let's pulse it. So straighten those arms, let it bend a little bit, and then straighten it again, right here. This is gonna burn a lot because our triceps are not used often in everyday life. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Our triceps actually physically are bigger than our biceps, but in most cases our triceps are weaker than our biceps. So I'm intentionally not turning around because I want you to see my elbow. So you can see how it peeks up a little bit behind my body. Good. So you can tell if my elbow moves, because if it disappears, then you're like, oh, then you dropped your elbow. So that's kind of a good way. If you're ever working out and you have a mirror in front of you, you should be able to feel that your elbows are moving. But in case you can't, you can always use mirrors as a great way to hold yourself accountable. That's what mirrors are for, you know. It's not so you can check out your hair and check out your makeup. It's all about alignment. So here I can constantly see my elbow, and hopefully you can too. It hasn't moved. I can just barely peek and see my elbows. And so I know that I'm effectively and safely working my triceps. Now, if your elbow moves, it's not that it's not safe anymore. It's just not as effective. All right, let's pulse it out for 8, 7. Oh, actually, I did 16 on the other side. So give me 8 more here. Okay. Get into our plank position and do some push-ups. So your hands are going to go nice and wide. This is a plank. It's on my knees. I have a mostly straight line from shoulders through my hips and my knees. One thing to watch out for is that your head doesn't lead the way in push-ups. So a lot of times people drop their head first and then they bend their elbows. A push-up really is just bending of the elbows. Okay? So I'm going to lift my head back, get it as aligned with my spine as I can. Lead with my chest, bend those elbows, and lower the chest to just about elbow height. All right, I'm doing this really slowly so you can really focus on this. So squeeze your abs, lift your head back, try not to let your head go forward. Bend your elbows. Abs brace. Bend your elbows. And even at the bottom, keep trying to lift your head back. You don't want it any chance of it to go forward. Do 2 more. Inhale on the way down, exhale on the way up. Last one. And then go ahead and lower yourself all the way to the floor. And if your body's in a perfect plank, ideally your face, chest, stomach should all hit the ground at the same time. All right, let's do a quick, little bit of abdominals. We just did the plank, so it's a little, I don't do too much Pilates or abs in the bar because our abdominals should have been stabilizing the whole time. I like to do a little bit at the end. So go ahead and lift your legs at the table top, imprint that lower back. If this bothers your lower back, feel free to keep your feet on the floor. We're going to stretch the opposites. So my front leg, my back arm, reach away. If you want lower, it's a little more challenging. If you want higher, a little less challenging, return. Reach away. So the training here, principle, is that we're recruiting our abdominals in a neutral spine position. We don't always want to do crunches, right? Crunches are an effective way to work abdominals, yes. But it's also about being able to stabilize and recruit those muscles and see what it feels like when your spine is in neutral. So anytime we're standing in bar, we want to be able to recruit those abs and keep a neutral spine. So maintaining that imprint. You can continue doing the single arm opposite leg reaches. And if you like, you can do double arm and leg reaches. And again, it's all about not losing that imprint, not arching off the back, training your muscles, your abdominal muscles to be recruited in neutral. So you can go nice and high. You can go a little lower. Let's do 4 more. Any version you like, single legs, alternating, 4 double legs. Exhale, reach. Last one. Good. Go ahead and stretch your glutes here. So ankle over the knee. And switch. Yeah, my glutes here. So we did all the legs in the first half of class, but we're stretching our legs now. You can come onto one side, stretch your quads. Try to pull it straight behind you instead of up. And then from here, we stretch our inner thighs. So grab whatever you can reach and gently pull it toward your head. Also a nice hip stretch. Flex the foot, get into the calves a little bit. And if you want, you can just turn around and face the back wall. I'm going to flip around, but you do not need to do that. Definitely takes a lot more work to do this. First the quads. And then those inner thighs. Usually I keep my toes in neutral or foot pointed because I can pull my leg closer to my head this way. And then I add the flex width. If I start with my foot flex, I just wouldn't be able to pull as far because of the limitation in my hamstring and calves. So it's like once I get my leg here, and then I flex the foot, it just kind of stretches more in that already stretched state. Good. So you can stand all the way up, or you can stay seated if you like. Find it easier to stretch the triceps when standing. So bar is a nice way to do some low impact hip opening, stretch and strength in one. You might not realize it, but every time you do a wide squat, you're also stretching your hips. Stretching the groin when you're doing arabesques. If you swing your legs forward, you're stretching your hamstring. When you swing your back, you're stretching your hip flexors. Right? All our muscles are all they have what is called, this is a technical term, like reciprocal inhibition or something. I should look this up. I don't often use technical terms because it's just like, what's the point? I don't want to confuse anyone. But basically, it's like if I want to flex my bicep, it's not possible if my tricep doesn't relax, because my tricep is all about straightening. I can't contract my tricep, which is straightening my arm, and still bend my arm. So your muscles have to work together in order for action to happen. All right, thank you so much. Really appreciate you guys taking time out of the middle of your day to join.